Okay, at this point, we'll do visitor statements, so I'll read my statement, and then we can...
We have
begin.
two people that have requested extended time, Tracy Sloan and Deidre Smith.
Okay, perfect. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages the participation of the citizens in the business of the school district. There are 2 points in the meeting where visitor statements are scheduled. Citizens are welcome to raise questions or make comments at either one. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual and cannot be combined. Please note the Board of Education will not answer questions or engage in dialogue during visitor comments. If a person would like additional time to address the board, such request should be submitted in writing 48 hours before the meeting to the superintendent. So perfect, we'll start. We have a
Tracy
list.
Sloan? Miss Tracy Sloan, I'm sorry.
Either one.
Tracy, you have up to 10 minutes. I'll give you kind of like a little wave when you're getting into your last 30 seconds. If it doesn't take 10 minutes, it's okay as well.
Okay, thank you. Members of the board, thanks for letting me speak today. I am Tracy Sloan, and my husband Jim is here. We have 2 kids at RB. We have McKenna, who's a senior, and TJ, who's a junior. And we live in Riverside. I am an alum of RB. I'm not going to tell you when I graduated. My dad, Bill Vandermerk, was also a teacher and the athletic director and head football coach here for 40 years. So I am a lifelong RB fan. And I'm very disappointed in what has transpired related to COVID and in-person learning this fall. And I really felt it was important to come and speak really openly and advocate for my kids and other parents and kids. So what I'd like to do is address the board tonight with concerns specifically regarding the current in-person teaching model and the length and robustness of the daily schedule. So this communication is on behalf of not just myself and Jim, but a group of Riverside and Brookfield parents who have recently come together to discuss these concerns. I wanted to share with you some quotes from RB students that I had a chance to speak to over the last few weeks regarding their in-person learning experience thus far this fall. So I'm gonna read these quotes. My teacher was down the hall teaching into Zoom in another room. We had a sub in my room who was just sitting there, and I should have just stayed at home. Another quote, I am at a disadvantage going into school to take tests. The kids who stay home can use their notes. I should just stay home. I do not feel the teachers want us there. I do not feel the teachers want to be there. I am one kid sitting in a classroom by myself. I feel like the teachers are trying to make in-person learning the most miserable experience possible so that we do not want to come back. Now, these are quotes describing this in-person teaching model. Do I think that this is reflective of every teacher and every child situation? No. Do I think that there are teachers that are absolutely going above and beyond to try to help kids and that the administration is working hard to try to improve the model? I do. But these quotes alone are something that we need to think about and address. I have heard great quotes too. I've heard from a freshman. The first day I went in for in-person learning, I felt like a real high schooler. A senior, well, it is good to have some in-person structure to my day and to get out of the house and see people. And there's more positive quotes too. I'm not saying that it's all bad, and I am also not saying, and I appreciate that there is an effort to try to improve the current in-person learning model. But what I don't want is for the administration and the teachers and the board to think that students are choosing not to come into school just because they don't want to be here. They're choosing not to come into school partially because of some of the things I just outlined that they quoted, okay? So it's the model that I think is flawed, and it's not our interest level or the kids' interest level necessarily in getting into the school. The in-person model right now is not working. When I first learned that we'd be headed into an in-person model in October, I was thrilled, as were my kids. We all thought it would be a healthy mental change, and many of them needed it. I was not aware, nor was the parent or student community, that the school would take an approach that was essentially teaching into a Zoom meeting, with teachers teaching into a Zoom meeting on their computers with little to no interactions, specialized interaction with the students in the classroom. No one knew that that was what what you guys meant by hybrid. There was a huge surprise in the community and with the students, and that's not what we signed up for. Few students and parents have felt value in that model. It is not engaging, it is not enriching, it is not welcoming, it is not positive, it is not creative, and it is not what these kids deserve. I get it, we're dealing with a difficult situation with COVID, something we've never dealt with before as a community. So what I wondered was, what are other schools doing? And I did some simple research. We checked into some local schools. We checked into the following: Fenwick, St. Ignatius, Montini, York, Hinsdale, Lamont, LT, Nazareth, Morton, Westmont, and St. Lawrence. There's many more we could have checked into. We also checked into local junior high schools: Hauser, Gross, Camargue, and St. Mary's, and here's what we were able to find. The majority of these high schools and junior highs in our area have been in a hybrid model this fall with some 3 days in person per school week. Of those offering hybrid, the majority are offering full days, 8:30 to 3. Almost all of these schools that are in hybrid have figured out a safe, socially distanced approach to lunch in the classrooms, gym, and cafeteria. Every one of these schools that are in hybrid are teaching to the students in the classroom with a Zoom running in the room for remote learners. They are teaching to the students in the class in an interactive way. I have a son at Hauser, that's what's happening. These schools are working with in-person of somewhere between 250 to 400 students in the school per day, with anywhere from 6 to 20 kids per classroom per day. And when you ask people who are living with this model in these surrounding communities, the students, teachers, and parents of each of these schools are saying to me, they are figuring it out. It is getting better and better as they get the kids in the school and the teachers get comfortable. So my question to everybody here, I know you can't answer it, but if some of these schools can figure it out, if a majority of these schools in our local area can figure it out, why can't we? What do these schools have that we don't? And the devil is in the details, right? So you got to think about that. But we are now behind, as most of these schools have been hybrid for 2 days a week for a majority of this fall, maybe not the whole fall, but they've moved to 2 days a week early enough that they've been able to offer their students enriching after-school opportunities as well as contact days this fall for sports. Our students were not given that full opportunity. We missed out on that, and as we have barely started to try to figure this out, we just keep kicking the can. We are not sitting down and thinking about what an in-person model can look like. Let me be very clear. I am not saying that a fully remote option should be offered, but I am not saying that a full remote option should not be offered for those who do not feel safe coming to school. I am not saying certain teachers who feel they are high risk do not need accommodation. I am not saying we should not meet state or regional guidelines. What I am saying is that what we've put in place here is not really cutting it, and I think we can do better. I spoke to a teacher the other day who was very clear to me that there are many teachers that want to get in the classroom. If they could get the kids in for 2 days, they could come up with a much more creative teaching approach for in-person versus remote kids. The numbers work out better with 2 days in person. That's what a teacher told me. And I know it's working because I've talked to teachers from other communities as well. I think it's time for us to talk further about what we need to do as a team to fix this problem, and soon. So we specifically request that the board, school administration, and teachers research and implement what other schools are successfully doing to teach kids in the classroom in an enriching way, with Zoom for remote learners running in the background. And this is happening, as I said, without special technology in other places. We'd also like the teachers, the school, the administration, and board to look at creative approaches to allow for lunch and to extend the learning day to a full day. And finally, I think we really need to look at moving forward with 2 days in-person learning. It's the best way to start figuring this out and make it enriching. I'll say one more thing. I get it, the COVID uptick in numbers is a problem, right, that we have to deal with. We need to navigate it, I get it. But we also need to plan and start talking now about a richer in-person learning experience for these kids when we do have that opportunity to get them in the classroom. I'm willing to contribute time. I know there are other parents that are willing to contribute time to provide advocacy for the parent and student community. And I know that I'm not alone and that we may need to get the work, may need to work to get the power of the parents behind us. But it's past due, and we respectfully ask for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you very much.
Deidre Smith. Is Deidre here? Hi, Deidre. I'll give you a little wave when you're getting close to your time, okay?
Okay. Dr. Skinkus, Dr. Freitas, and board. I'm Deirdre Smith. I'm a Riverside resident and a proud parent to a senior here at RB. I'm also a proud parent to a sophomore at another school who is actually going to school 50% of the time in person and learning in person. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I ask all of you now just to think back to your high school days, and in particular to your senior year. That fall was likely spent at football games, gearing up for homecoming, finishing up college visits, applying to colleges. For most of us, it's a time we remember with fondness, or some fondness at least. As our senior years progressed, we started all of our lasts. Our last athletic game, our last fall play or spring musical, our last math club competition. We got every single one of our lasts. Flash forward to today, and we can all agree that last year's seniors had the rug pulled out from under them. They had no senior prom, no full-on graduation ceremony. To put it bluntly, it sucked for them. But guess what? This senior class, they never even got on the rug. And that sucks for them even more. There was no homecoming. Their summer and fall wasn't spent on college visits. In fact, some didn't even take their college entrance exams until 2 weeks ago. These seniors have never worn a prom dress, unlike last year's who at least experienced junior prom. They have never voted for a homecoming court, and they haven't gotten their lasts yet. Many are literally making college choices after visiting schools on campustours.com. Think about that, campustours.com. This class of 2021 has truly had their senior year hijacked, and what is being done for them? I would put to you, not enough, barely anything in fact. Yes, they recently got a sign on their lawn, and that is a very nice first gesture. Thank you for that. But it is not nearly enough. Dr. Freitas, I reached out to you on August 20th in an email about this and got no response. So I came to your coffee talk on October 20th, and we had a nice conversation. We agreed that we needed to look into this further. Surprises were coming, and thank you, that sign was a surprise, and we loved getting it. But I immediately followed up with an email asking you how to mobilize the over 12 parents that I know of seniors, get a committee formed, and plan real legitimate activities. And to date, there's been no follow-up. In fact, there was not even an acknowledgement of that communication. So here we are, it's November 10th, and here I am again. And the question remains, what is being done for our seniors? At minimum, there needs to be monthly activity, recognition, something, anything. We need to do better on this. Don't tell the seniors that we are moving forward together. Actually move forward together with them. You are their leader, and they love and respect you. So lead the RB community in a celebration of our seniors. 25%, that's a number everybody here is clearly comfortable with. Well, the senior class represents 25% of the census at RB. So there must be ways that we can safely celebrate their final year at RB together. They need to be together as a class. And as I look around this gym, I never really saw it, this empty. It's pretty large, and it can certainly handle the senior class in a safe manner. It's time for everybody to think outside of the box, and it is time to think of these seniors, because this senior class of 2021, they deserve better. You have a big group of parents ready to assist and make this a very memorable senior year in a good way, somehow. And yet to date, this hasn't been capitalized on, it hasn't even been acknowledged. We don't just have a request, we have an expectation as parents and as taxpayers that our seniors will not be collateral damage to this pandemic. We will not allow them to be lost or their lasts to be forgotten in the face of all this craziness. So, Dr. Freitas, Dr. Skinkis, and board, it's time for action. What can we do for our seniors? Who will lead this charge? How will efforts get started? And how can communication on this topic improve? I could end by saying pause up for our seniors, but I think it's more appropriate right now in this instance to suggest that we all put our paws down and get to work on a plan for the RB class of 2021. Thank you. And I will just say one more thing. Part of that plan cannot be keeping these seniors in school till June 26th. That's just not gonna happen. Okay, so
No, but thank you. It really opens your eyes to some different ideas.
Thank you.
Others, visitor comments?
Visitor comments? Mr. Baum?
Hi, good evening. I'm James Baum. I'm the music teacher here. I just want to take a moment to publicly say how proud I am of the RB Fine Arts community. Not just the students and teachers here at the school, but the wider fine arts community that resides within our borders here in District 208. The pandemic has been brutal on our artists, dancers, musicians, and actors, and I want everyone listening to know that we are in this together and to keep being the amazing creators you are. Well, the Joffrey Ballet canceled its season. Here at RB, we have an amazing dance teacher who's creating beautiful dances with our dancers who are engaging here. The dancers are engaging here and in many private dance studios within our community. Our visual artists are being taught to see the world through creative eyes by our 3 wonderful visual arts teachers, and you can find works of art being displayed at many of the community art studios. The CSO, Lyric Opera, and Playhouses have canceled their seasons, putting many of our community members out of work. Our music department and theater department are here in the midst of a renaissance of virtual performance activity, including our halftime show, upcoming holiday concert, and the fall play, which is debuting next weekend. This creativity mirrors the professional community, which also continued to find new audiences through streaming and socially distant front yard performances. One of the biggest impacts of all of our students are experiencing right now is the absence of social and emotional development. Well, the fine arts have stepped up to fill that void for our students. Students engaging in fine arts continue to study the world around them and make ineffable observations that challenge both the creator and the consumer to discover more about themselves, their surroundings, and the people of the world. The arts are a wonderful gift, and this pandemic has highlighted how wonderfully necessary they are for humanity. I asked my students why they continue to create music, and here's what some said. I know I'm getting short on time, so I'm going to skip some, but I can email it to you. This is one, a sophomore student. We do music to communicate with one another, to share life with one another. We do music to find happiness, hope, compassion, love, and so much more in our lives. Music does not just give us the power of expressing feelings or emotions. Music gives us the power to be ourselves. In a world of anger, music is something we can share no matter what. Music allows us to look with a magnifying glass into someone else's world. Music is love, music is togetherness, music is happiness, Music is music. I know it's a policy of the board to not respond to visitor comments, but I hope you won't mind replying to this simple ask. For the sake of any creative person watching, in acknowledgement of their effort to make this pandemic just a little more tolerable through their art, please offer your congratulations and encouragement through a hearty round of applause. Thank you.
So Mr. Baum, I will engage. So you're in favor of coming back to school then? Because that was a powerful statement about you're really here for the kids and you're coming to school doing it right now. You and your whole group is coming here doing it.
Right, we want the kids
you've
here
So-
to make art
No,
for
no,
you
so
to
let's-
teach them
but-
how to make art. And
Yeah.
how do you feel about that?
Well, you've seen our field show. Like we have to alter things. Like we can't play in our room. So like that's a weird ask. I don't mind seeing the kids by any means.
So you're
but,
in
like-
favor?
What's that?
So you're in favor of coming back to school?
Of being 50% in person?
Well, I'm going to disappoint you. I'm in favor of full remote because that's where my students can actually participate in rehearsal. When they're in person, they can't participate in rehearsal, and that's
So
that's
they
just
can't-
safety.
But I've seen you on the field
Yeah,
with kids.
right. Without
Pretty
instruments.
close too.
Without instruments, we can be on the field.
But is that every high school, so no high school can play?
Some high schools have canceled their entire music, like their entire field show, gone. A lot of high schools did that.
But are there some high schools playing? I mean, I know there are schools that are teaching, I know schools are acting. I don't understand why we are not moving. We're a small school. We were ahead in August, and now we've fallen last. I don't understand what the impasse is here.
Well, I think you're asking me to respond for the whole faculty, and I'm not prepared to do that. I can only talk about the music department. And the music department, we've done the math on our rooms. We know that if playing inside would be not safe.
So you can speak on Channel 2 News for the entire staff, but you can't speak here at the board meeting for the entire staff. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I spoke out of turn for Channel 2 News.
Yeah, but
Thank
we
you
all
for
heard
saying
it. And
Yeah.
the
Thank you
last
for saying
thing
that.
anybody wants is their school to be on the 5 o'clock news because their teachers called for some big rally because they don't want kids around.
We need to stay at the
Okay,
visitor
Mona.
comments.
Yeah, I was gonna
James,
say, you have a policy about visitors' comments.
you asked them to respond, James, you opened that door.
I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
You
ask
opened up the door,
I
and
asked
here
for
you
applause.
sit.
Okay.
James,
Here you sit.
James,
Thank you,
Thank you
James.
for doing what you do with the students. They love you, and I appreciate it.
Thank
I
you.
really, really do.
thank you.
There you go, Mrs. Sloan. There you go. That should be a huge answer to.
Okay, let's stay focused on task. I'm sorry I didn't get your first name.
Okay, I haven't started yet, but thank you so much for having me
I'm
here.
sorry.
That's
Go ahead.
okay. My name is Rebecca Wood. I am an RB alum, and I have two children here, a sophomore and a junior. And I'm here on behalf of them because we need better transparency. We need better communication. When you said we are going back to hybrid, the 25% wasn't out there. Bait and switch. These kids were looking forward to a plan that was put forth by you and presented to us. It wasn't color blocked Q2 through 4 on the website, 25%. And you say only 12% are coming to school? Why would they come? R through Z on Friday, 8 to 12:30. I got to get out of bed. This wasn't the right plan, and it was never a plan that we saw. And as a taxpayer, it's not what you had presented to us. So moving forward, what is the plan? What are you going to share with us? What are you going to tell us? The metrics. How are we going to move forward? Is it just based on the phases? Everything seems to be across the board. We have schools less than 3 miles away that are hybrid, and they were doing sports. I have a son at another school, and he's in full days. He goes 8 till 3, and he eats lunch, and we haven't had problems. They have a plan, and we were given this plan at the beginning of the year, and we continue to follow it. So if you please keep me on task. I don't know how much more time I have. You said I'm limited to 3 minutes.
At 1:30, you're okay.
Okay, great. So I am here just requesting for improved communications for parents, students, and staff. We need consistent messaging. I listen to the Zooms, and I have teachers that are upset. I have teachers that can't believe they're teaching this way. I have students, my daughters, they don't want to go to some classes. They came for that first remote day, and the next week they didn't come. I want the students back, but this wasn't part of the plan. So we need consistent messaging, we need expectations, and it needs to be across the board. In closing, we should not be, Dr. Skinkis, on step A. We have known about this since March. Other districts have technology in place, and we have fallen behind. We need to follow a plan, stick to it, and put it out there. And that's all I've got to say. So thank you so
Rebecca.
much for your time.
Thank you.
very much.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Jim Sloan. You heard from my wife a little bit ago. I'm going to have a problem keeping this up because it keeps slipping down.
Fine
So
by
I
me.
pre-apologize if my mask comes down a little bit. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Like my wife said, we have 2 kids here at RB and then two younger kids in grade school. I want to thank Tracy and Dee Smith and Becky Wood for their comments, which I'd like to reiterate. What I would like to address right now is something that my friend Mr. Curtin touched on a little bit ago, and I think he took off, and that is athletics and maximizing the opportunity for RB students. As I understand it, this past fall, RB had several different sports teams play: cross country, golf, tennis, girls swimming, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I hope and encourage RB to continue forward with these sports within the pertinent guidelines. There was an opportunity that was missed in October, and that was this concept of, quote, contact days. I don't know all the details about the contact days. I know some of the other school districts surrounding us took advantage of these contact days with football and basketball, and basically they were allowed to I don't know if you want to call it practice, but they were allowed to get together 20 days out of the month, and RB, for whatever reason, decided not to do that. As a parent of 2 RB students, I was disappointed to learn that RB did not go forward with those contact days. I am not here to throw stones or cast aspersions or, redo any previous discussions that were made. The message that I would like to get across is to emphasize that if there is any opportunity to play a sport or to have contact days going forward, I ask that RB take full advantage of it. We have seniors, like what Dee Smith just said, we have seniors here who now have just a few more months to participate in sports. There were a number of student athletes, baseball players, for example, who were scheduled to play this past spring, who got their season taken away from them through the fault of nobody. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but it's very unfortunate. And for those student athletes, I think it's fair to say that everyone wants to see them get every opportunity to play going forward. Playing sports is voluntary. It's not mandatory. If someone believes that the risk of playing is too great for him or her, he or she does not have to and should not play. But for those who want to play, they should be afforded every opportunity to do so. And if that opportunity is missed, unfortunately, that's gone forever. I would like to ask the school board, the administration, and the teachers and coaches, for whatever plan we have going forward, we're going to either be 25% hybrid, 50% hybrid, 100% remote. I hope it's not 100% remote, but I ask that we figure out as a group for each of those plans exactly what is the plan and how do we maximize the opportunity for student athletes.
Jim,
Thank
I
you for
gotta
your
cut-
time.
Thank you, Jim. I got to cut you off. Thank you.
Thank you very much. More comments? Okay. All right, more visitor comments. We will